31 Days of Horror with Mark.
Good evening. Those who have kind of noticed that this video comes right after the Resident Evil one will notice there's a trend in that I am wearing the same t-shirt. Don't worry, I've not been wearing the same t-shirt for days because that's fusty. But no, what I have done is just immediately recorded this one right next. So this evening's viewing, I went subtitled, and I watched this. That's not War, because like on my screen it says War, but it says Raw. And I'm assuming you can see it properly on your end. It's just it's really weird when it's reversed. But yeah, French horror film in which a lady goes to vet school, has been kind of told she's has been vegetarian all her life. At some point during like the initiation hazing kind of thing, she ends up kind of eating like a rabbit kidney as kind of part of the kind of thing, and so basically first time kind of eating meat, and then eventually starts to effectively develop a craving for meat herself, but more specifically meat that she shouldn't be craving. And that sounds really kind of dodgy, but no, it's actually more human flesh. So effectively, it's effectively a zombie film, but way better than the Resident Evil kind of franchise there. So for the most part, slow burning kind of thing. It's no like straight into kind of carnage. There's a pretty kind of decent scene as the film starts, involving a kind of a car accident kind of thing, which only really kind of comes into play a bit later on in the film. And you go, oh right, okay. But yeah, so French lass by the name of Juliette goes to vet school, as I say, hazing kind of things and what have you. She's apparently the prodigy in her family. She's quite intelligent to the point whereby she's kind of berated a wee bit by her like her peers and like her like teacher, saying like, we didn't need you here because you're too smart. And it's like, what? Doesn't make sense. There's some weird kind of moment, like actually there's a lot of kind of weirdness in this film, like start to finish kind of thing. But there's like when it kind of starts, she ends up in vet school. There's like this big kind of hazing thing where they end up at like a party, and they're all kind of like they're all drinking and what have you, and it's just fucking strange. I think a lot of this film is kind of weird. So yeah, so she plods along at school, all in all like starting to kind of like crave kind of meat. So she like she has like shawarma at some point, and that kind of like classic like kind of properly kind of eating it as if she'd never kind of eaten stuff before. And then as it kind of progresses, she makes the ultimate taboo and starts kind of chowing down on some finger food, quite literally. And it's pretty gross. Like if you're even remotely squeamish in any capacity whatsoever, this is not the film to sit through, especially during your dinner, or if you're vegetarian. I think if you're vegetarian, it's probably going to make you sick, or vegan for that matter. But yeah, it's pretty kind of gross in its kind of depiction of like the yumminess kind of thing. Great central kind of performance by I'm going to probably butcher the pronunciation. So Garance Marillier. It's probably a more French accent way of kind of saying that, but I'm not going to bother because I'll sound like a bigger nonce than usual. But yeah, so she's really kind of good in it, and it kind of parallels not only like her meat awakening, which is a bit of a weird way to kind of say it, but also like her sexual awakening as well, in that she's never been with anybody, and this kind of starts to kind of like, weirdly enough, this kind of craving for human flesh seems to kind of tie into this in a weird kind of almost S&M type thing, but no quite. Like it's no, don't worry, it's no like full on kind of like whips and chains and like stuff that I obviously didn't understand about S&M because it's not my bag. But yeah, it doesn't kind of get like there. It's just like more that the pain and the kind of violence of the stuff kind of obviously start kind of turning our own. So yeah, progresses and gets like decidedly more gross. Bits and chunks are eaten, and there isn't any kind of full-on carnage scene for this, which again is fine. Like you didn't have to have be beaten about the face with it. You kind of know what the score is, so you know what she's kind of gone through and what have you. But at the same time, when there is that kind of thing, it's like, ooh, gross. But yeah, like, I thought it was really enjoyable, pretty dark, pretty funny at points. I don't know if it was supposed to be, but like some of the kind of bits you're like, you can help but go tee. There's like a fight scene a bit later on in the film in which the person she's fighting, and they start like biting into each other and stuff like that, which is a bit weird, but it is what it is. So yeah, I thought that was pretty kind of interesting as well. I don't want to say too much about this because if you haven't kind of seen it, I was pleasantly surprised because I knew the basic premise, as I say, I knew it was about a lass who was vegetarian but then kind of goes for the kind of meat after she eats meat kind of thing, but then kind of just goes over and above kind of thing where she shouldn't. I got little inklings, it kind of teeth, that kind of weird body horror, like know that like obviously teeth is completely different, but also that kind of like the weird, like the parallels with the sexual awakening, and as I say, is like some of the violence was pretty kind of gruesome. There's some really kind of odd like scenes, which all I can really kind of describe is they're very French, and I know how that sounds, and like hopefully it doesn't kind of come off as kind of it's insulting in any way whatsoever, but there's a scene where her and her sister try to kind of pee standing up on a roof, and you're just like, what? Fucking what? It's just so stupid. But also you're sitting there going, right, okay, this is the kind of film I'm watching kind of thing. And again, that's not meant to kind of come off as stereotypical or kind of, as it says, insulting. It's just there's moments in this where you can kind of tell that it's almost quintessentially French in that it doesn't give a fuck. I think is probably the best way to describe it. It just kind of, it's like, this is what we're showing on screen. You're just gonna have to like it. If we didn't care. Which I actually like. There's a lot of kind of like scenes in this whereby if this was like a mainstream horror film, they might have been like, oh, we can't show that kind of thing. Oh, that's too, like, there's got to be people complaining. But like they're more like, we'll fucking put whatever we want on screen and we didn't care, which I really kind of respect about the film in general. So yeah, even though it's a weird scene with them peeing standing up, I'm also kind of like, yeah, fair enough, just let them kind of do it. Like obviously they wouldn't have that in, like, you know, Insidious Part 4 or whatever, but they're going to have it in Raw, and like they're going to be happy about it, so you're just like, okay, cool, no worries. So yeah, that seems a little bit on the weird side. I think I'm going to wrap it there. This one's going to be a lot shorter than my Resident Evil review, but I did really enjoy it. It was kind of grim when it needed to be grim. It was, it's actually there's quite kind of, like quite a bit heartwarming, kind of like heartwarmingness to it. Again, I'm not going to say too much, but also, the violence when it is eventually on screen, it's pretty like, ooh, yeah, ooh. So as I say, if you're no a fan of gore or people eating people, this is not for you. But yeah, Raw came out in 2016. I think unfortunately the only way you can pick up the Blu-ray was HMV done a limited release, so you might not be able to get on Blu-ray anymore, but I'm pretty sure it's on DVD. But get a bash if you want to be slightly grossed out. So I'll wrap that one there. Nice speaking to you guys. Hopefully I'll have another video for you in another few days.